topic. What are you giggling at, Allie?
I wasn't giggling at you. It's the person sitting across from me.
So what I want everyone to think about as we start thinking about building community, right, this is one of the things that is macro, right? Meaning big picture thinking, right? This has nothing to do with, I'm going to do this and I'm going to get a lead tomorrow, right? Like whoever thinks that, it is sadly mistaken and is not going to be able to build community effectively. We need some people to mute themselves. Okay, good. Now I can mute people. So if you start thinking about this, right, what's the first thing I need to focus on to build community is number one, your mindset, right? I have Andrea on here, so I will use her as an example, as she's done this really well. So Andrea, put a link to all your videos where they could find them in the chat so people have something they can reference themselves to.
Okay, give me a minute.
Okay. So rule number one about building community, right? This is about where you live, what you do, and what happens after someone buys a house, right? So I'll take a step back. There are three phases of real estate: before, during, and after. Before and during is cannibalized and commoditized by technology and other people. And the only thing that we have to hold on to, in my professional opinion, is what happens after after someone buys or sells home with you, right? And especially buyers. People want to know, how do I live where I live, right? So if I look at great agents that have very high driven past clients, centers of influence business, they're consistently offering their people value after they move, right? So think about the three areas that people want to focus on after they now live somewhere, right? Explore, like, where are all the places I can go, right? So I'll use myself. I will be the avatar today. I moved to Westport, Connecticut. My neighbor, maybe 3 months ago, said, "Hey, Chirag, do you know anything about the town pool?" I'm like, "We have a town pool." And Michelle Danaher grew up here, and she tells me lots about Westport that I never knew as well. Now, they brought me to this pool that is literally on the Long Island Sound. Westport has Longshore, which was a country club in the 70s that the town of Westport bought. And they have this beautiful pool that's on the Long Island Sound, and it even has a place where your kids can get sailing lessons. I had no idea about that. It would have been nice if someone told me and explained this to me when I was moving here. Explore, right? That's an explore, like kind of what's here. Experiences. How many people live somewhere that have either great like farmers markets, parades, and things along that go on in their towns, right? If you're in New York City, there also, that goes to the next one, like dine, right? How many great food places are there everywhere? A lot, right? Explore, experience, dine. Those are three areas. Now, if you have finance clients that are black and white within numbers, this is a great place to realize that you're building your community around data, right? But for the purpose of this call today, we're going to talk about those people that primarily work with families or young couples that move into places, right? Like they want to live life somewhere. So the first thing is this is the framework to it, right? And in doing this, it is one of the cheapest ways to build your brand in the community. Cheap, right? Because these are things that are very much organically shared. These things are very much get organic engagement, and they drive a lot of views. So like the mindset that you need to have to this is, number one, it's called evergreen content. Evergreen content is content that you make that you can continuously use. It's not like, you do something for one open house. It's the life cycle is for an open house, right? You walk down Main Street in your community and you talk about what's there and kind of just an overview and the vibe of where someone's moving to. You can use that piece of content over and over and over again, right? So it's evergreen content. The second thing is about this is you have to be playing this for the long game, right? If you take the realtor math mentality for my new friends here, realtor math mentality is, well, what's my ROI when I do this? I'm like, well, what do you mean? And they're like, well, you know, like, how much money am I going to make? How many leads am I going to get? How many clients am I going to get? Is this the mindset of someone that's going to be successful doing something like this? No, absolutely not. Do I think you should understand when you invest money, the metrics of doing something? Absolutely. But you need to have a realistic thing of what you're measuring, right? Like I know for Andrea, when we do this, we're measuring like how many people view, right? How many people can we get to share it? How many new connections can there be, right? And there's a value to relationships, right? So if you're doing this, number one, you need a budget. Number two, you need to have the macro mindset, right? And number three, it's evergreen content. So you should be thinking, how can I repurpose this forever, right? Until it gets old. So that's kind of the thought process around this, right? Explore, experience, dine, right? This is evergreen content. And this is the way to start building around your community. Now, who here has a great place that has great people in it that, like the store or the restaurant or the shop, has an amazing story to it? And that's really what connects people to. Marlene, you're nodding your head yes. So unmute yourself. I'll unmute you. Hold on. There you go. Oh, wait, you got to hit the unmute button.
Oh, did it.
There you go. All right, so tell me about this place that you nodded your head about. Where is it?
You know what? I just blanked. Give me a moment.
All right, Julie O'Malley, I'm unmuting
Sorry.
you. No problem. We're going to go back.
Good morning.
Good morning. So in the mainline suburbs, what's a great place that you go to that like the owners really have a great story and like they're very friendly with the people?
There's a few that I think about.
So name me one and what makes it unique.
There's a restaurant called Cornerstone, and the owners they travel to different places and source new ingredients, and it's just a warm, welcoming place.
Perfect. Now, who here wants to know, and legitimately, this is where I challenge you guys to be difficult. Who here wants to raise their hand and say, Chirag, what the hell does this have to do with building my real estate business? Oh, you guys all see the gap. Perfect, right? Now, if you went to Cornerstones and there's a place like that where they're very local people, they travel, they have a great story, they have great personalities. Don't you think there are hundreds of people in a community that can relate to that? Right? As a real estate agent, don't you need people to view you and have eyeballs on you and understand that like you do real estate locally and that it's a service you offer? Yes. So let's bridge the gap. Julie goes in there and says to the owners, hey, like, you know, I'm a local realtor. This is one of my favorite places to eat. I'd love to feature you and share with you all the people that are moving here and the people I have that lived here because you have the most amazing story. Would it be okay if I came in here and interviewed you one day? What do you think they would say? Most people would say, yeah, I would love that, right? Now, here is what you call tapping into people's audiences. Now, let me show you how this works. You go in there and you do that, right? Now, is that giving the store value, the restaurant value? Absolutely. Now you have this awesome video. Is that video very shareable for you and other people? Absolutely. Now you can ask them, like in doing this, all we ask is that you share this with your email list and stuff like that, because we think it's a great way for people really to experience, you know, what you have to offer. Do you think they'll do that? Absolutely. Because no one is really doing anything like this, right? If you look across the country, there are not tons of like community experts. Now, Julie goes in there, she films, let's say this is my restaurant, she films me and my wife, and we start talking about this. And now it goes and gets shared. It gets posted on Facebook, it gets posted on Instagram. And everyone else that knows about this is like, oh my God, I love that place. And they start sharing what they know about it. Before you know it, you know, you have your intro and your outro that says you're a real estate agent. Now, all of a sudden, things like this can go viral. They can get viewed thousands of times. Now, think about this concept. You could pay thousands of dollars a month for a billboard for people to see your face and your information. This is doing the same thing online where you're getting evergreen content, you're adding value, and you're getting those same type of eyeballs for dollars and cents versus hundreds and thousands, correct? Now, I can speak to this very much because I actually did this for myself. And the first video I did was like a hot dog stand. And the video got shared hundreds of times. It was viewed over 50,000 times. And from shooting the video, I'd walk around town and be like, oh my God, you're that person from that video. My mom'd be like, who are all these people? And she didn't understand it because she thought the same way as a business owner that I was burning my money and time doing it, right? Josh says that was a great video. So where is, Andrea, where are you? Andrea went into hiding. So someone said that Will Stein does this. Will, unmute yourself.
Here, just a second.
Oh, you're here? Okay.
Yeah, I'm here. We're having technical difficulties in our office this morning. Sorry about that.
So Andrea, what has
here.
this experience been doing this for you?
Well, the first thing I had to do is get comfortable with being uncomfortable and realize that this is what I look like. This is what I sound like. When they meet me around the community, they're going to know it anyway. So I had to get over myself. But the fun thing about it is we're to the point now where people want to participate, or they say they watch every one of them, or they invite us to community events. So we're in a massive suburb and it's very large, and we've helped create our own sense of community around our team. That's been pretty amazing.
What about the restaurant openings? What have you got access to now for some of these places as a result of doing this?
We've been invited to some soft openings and some things like that. We're participating in a dine out for charity event and sponsoring 2 restaurants. So it's opened up some opportunities for us to be invited to do some things. We've connected with a local food blogger, but we may need to find another one. She's late all the time to everything. We don't have time for that in real estate.
It's good. It's good to have standards.
Yeah, but we're starting to be, I don't want to say known because it's such a large area, but people are starting to take notice that this is something that we do for our community, and we get asked, why do you do this? And it gives us a chance. That opens the door for us to explain that we love our community and we want to be a part of the community and support other local business owners. And in pointing out that we're supporting other local business owners, we're seeing as a local business, even further ourselves.
Do you guys see how this works? So imagine being a real estate agent where you are, and restaurants and other places saying, hey, can you come to our soft opening and cover that? By the way, do you think that's highly shareable content with your sphere? Man, I would love to know if a new restaurant was opening in town, right? Like, this is how people live life. Think about human beings and what people do on weekends, right? Everything you generally do for most people is one way or another is driven around food and drinks, right?
Can I add something?
Yeah.
Well, one thing we've tried to do is make the videos the core of this project, but then we're also, I'm sorry, somebody on my team's laughing at me in the middle of talking, and it's hard to concentrate. But we're trying to branch out, and we have a mixer plan for our local business owners to have, happy hour and get to know each other, because our Chamber of Commerce here is too big and covers too big a geographical area. So we want to localize that. We've also planned some philanthropy projects as well as client appreciation projects at and with businesses that we've spotlighted. But the most fun thing we're doing right now is we've started a local Facebook group called Cypress, Texas, Live Life Local. And we've begun sharing local events, live music, restaurant openings, things like that, unbranded on that page. So they can tell I'm an admin, but it's not marketing. It's a community. So that's just started. We're probably only to about 600 followers right now, or members on the group, but that's a work in progress. So we wanted it to be a multi-layer project.
How many people are in the group? Say that one more time.
I think probably only around 600. And of that, probably 40% of them are still previewing the group. Yeah.
Only 600. You know, there's a saying like, once you label an experience, that's what it becomes. I think it's pretty incredible to have 600 people, right? Remember, in real estate, if you market your sphere and database correctly, 10% of people will give you a referral, right? So 600 people there's at least 6 good deals in there or more, actually 60 good deals, if you continue working those relationships. But now think about this in terms of her business and how this would work for yours. Number one, she made the investment, right, to invest into the community, build these relationships. Number two, then she thought about this as a way of segueing into making a private group that's unbranded. People know you're like, you know, I always joke around. It's like, hey, I'm a realtor. I'm like, you do realize, like, if I clicked on Deanna's thing, like I would see that she's a real estate agent because, like, you know, her profile says that, right? You know, on Facebook, they have like a little box. Instagram, you have the stuff on top. Like, people know what you do. You don't have to be so overly pushy about it, right? People are not stupid. And overselling is the biggest challenge that people have in all of this, right? So like Andrea's one of these trajectories where if you're going to look at it a year from now and she's getting a lot of business and all the things she worked for, let me say, Andrea, how you did it. The first one is strategy and the second one is patience, right? She's not rushing this. She understands that this is a pillar of her business that I believe everyone should have. Will had a couple good points too. Will, you had mentioned about clothing and how to make things evergreen. You want to mute yourself a second? Because those are some good nuggets you put in the chat box.
Yeah. I mean, this is a really great way. I've done this in the past. I haven't been doing it recently, but it's a really great way. But just remember how impactful video is going to be both today and in the future. And keep your videos so that they can be used for a really long time. I had a full-time videographer for about a year, and he would just follow us, follow our agents, follow what we're doing, and made some really awesome content. We were really intentional at that time, and that was probably 2018, 3 years ago. We were really intentional at that time to make all our content really usable, and it's still very usable today, except for my children are a lot older. You know, they had a lemonade stand. You know, if you watch our videos, one of them in a lemonade stand. You know, I live on a cul-de-sac. There's no thorough traffic. There's lemonade stand. And there are other things that really worked well. But yeah, and it can just be about you. You know, it can just be about very natural. It doesn't have to be about real estate. People don't want to always hear about the market. They just want to hear this natural, organic content. And if you can create that, it really does create reach. And people get to know you.
Yep. Hillary does a great example of that too in Westchester, right? A lot. She talks about like everything from community fairs to kind of what's going on. Betsy has made herself somewhat of a fixture in the community. And I just had breakfast with Betsy this morning and her son is going to college. And, you know, she just got her first listing lead from doing this and they met her, you know, they saw her name around town and everything, and they reached out to her, right? So like, one of the things I want to spend the next few minutes drilling down, and then I want to open this up to Q&A because look, there's 50 plus people here. If you guys listen to me, smile and nod your heads, it's great. But if you don't do anything, it doesn't really make a difference, right? So we want to make sure everyone has action steps to get started. So in thinking about this, look, if inventory has shrunk, right? Is that correct? People now are also living in their homes longer, right? They aren't turning as over frequently. You need to be more focused than you ever have before in your life on maintaining the relationships you have. I always talk about the trigger event. You never know when that trigger event is going to happen in somebody's life that's going to make them want to move, right? I could never forget, and I always use myself as an example, so I don't have to pick on all of you, is I remember recently when I had water in my basement, right? And that, like that day, if I could have moved, I probably would have. Like literally, I went online, I started looking at houses, I started going through the whole thing. There was nothing. If there was something that day, I would have reached out to whatever agent has been doing the best job of staying in touch with me, and I would have called them and I would have moved. Because that was a trigger event in my life. If you're not using things like this, your CRM, and have a strategic approach both to stay in front of people with real estate and without real estate, you're going to lose in this next set. People keep asking me, hey, do you see the market slowing down? I go, yeah, for people that have been coasting for the last 15 months, just waiting for their cell phone to give them a lead. There's no proactivity, right? They're not calling, texting, or emailing anyone proactively to work their database. Instead, they're just like, I'm so busy, people just keep calling me and this is all great. But that music's going to end. And those people are all going to have a problem because they've now neglected all the people who supported them throughout all the years. So you have to be disciplined in doing this, right? You have to. If you can't use your CRM and do basic things like take notes, tag people, be mindful of your relationships, get involved in your community, figure out what people are doing and how people are living based on your area, and have some sort of strategic approach, you don't have a business, you have a ticking time bomb that's eventually going to explode. So I hate to be the bearer of bad news, and you could either look this as bad news, or you could look at how well things are going and realize how much roadway for opportunity you have. Nothing changes and nothing changes, and as my buddy Jim Rohn says, I loved his personal development workshops he's always had, and he says, for things to change for you, you have to change. So after today and listening to this, what are you going to do differently? Are you going to get over your fear of what you look like, what you sound like, and everything else? Listen, I'll pull my videos up now, right? Someone might say that I'm in great shape now. Let me tell you, when I did all those videos, I was not in great shape. I was probably 35 pounds heavier, and I hated what I looked like. I hated what I felt like, and I still don't like the way that I sound. And I do this professionally as a career, right? But I've accepted that, and everyone else has to accept that, unless you want to live in your home, never see people, never talk to people, which means you want to be here today. We need to live in the reality of what this is and start planning more purposely for the future. For all of us that commit to spending time here every day, what are you waiting for? Start building what you need now, and don't run that 100-yard dash anymore. Do not spend 10 months running and then go back to the same starting line of a business plan where you're putting the same shit that you didn't do the year before down, like, all right, this year I'm going to do it. There's 50 plus people that show up here every day. There's an app that we have and a community that you can connect with other people. I'm not saying everyone could do it alone, right? What I'm saying is you can find one other person in the group, make a 30-minute meeting, and sit down and workshop this together, and then make accountability to find a videographer by a day, to shoot your first video by a certain day, to have your plans done together and have someone to review it with. Remember, together we can always be more. Find one person, right? This is not complicated. I said to Betsy this morning, I go, everything in life is simple. People make things complicated. So who has questions about what they're going to do to get this started? Hillary, you made me do my
I just
first.
want to piggyback on what you said and a few other people said. Letting go of yourself, getting over yourself, and just talking with your authentic voice has been extremely powerful for me. I've struggled with video because like the first several times I tried it, I'm like trying to memorize lines of exactly what I want to say and blah, blah, blah. And it's a total failure and it sucks. And I'm just eventually like, okay, I'll, turn this into a dub over and blah, 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 and break it up. And then like when I just get out of my own way, maybe I have like a couple bullets and I'm going to just talk about this and I just talk, it's so much more natural and ends up coming out so much better. And a big part of it is just letting go and just being like, you know what, I am myself and that's all I can be. And I'm just going to talk like I talk. And that's been a really big lift for me in terms of making it happen at the end of the day.
I like what he said. If you gave me a script, I couldn't do it. If you told me what I need to communicate, I can. And look, people are nervous, right? I know Andrea muted herself, but the other day after a coaching call, we went through the videos and I'm like, all right, now go drink some tequila, go take a shot or two and then go shoot the video. And she went and did a couple fireballs and she shot the video, she sent it back and I was like, oh, wow, look, this is perfect, right? Like if you watch what's going on now, the authenticity of people is what people want to see. Look at all these people on TikTok. Like this is real, right? Like people aren't looking for the polished person like this in front of a BMW with the wind in their hair saying how great they are, right? Vulnerability is something that's very well accepted today, right? People like the guy that has the courage to go on video that they could tell is not great at talking about it, but has the message and is doing it with the right thing. Josh is another person who literally monopolizes this town, and I feel bad for anyone that works at this town because after his project that we're working on is done, no one will ever even want to try because it'll be that much further ahead. Guys, this is an area of opportunity that you can all do, right? It's not done. It requires so much discipline, patience, and consistency. Most people will never want to do it, and they won't ever do it long enough to make money.
One other thing, if you don't do it now, you'll regret it in 6 months, because like every time I try to get like the videographer out there, it's so much better to do this when it's green, when the trees are out there. And, so it's really helpful. Half the year, it just doesn't look as nice outside. And so it's good to get going on this project sooner than later, I think, if you want to start getting your footage and being on film just when it's not winter.
Do any of you guys want to see like what the compilation of all this looks like after you do it for like a little more than a year? Yes? All right, hold on a second. Now you can see all the different phases of my life. 1 second.
Chirag, while you're doing that, can I ask you one question?
Yeah.
So you mentioned before that not everything, not all the content has to be real estate related, right? Like even hopefully it's something more of a personal nature than business related. So this takes me to, do we use our own social media, or do we start creating something that's just completely apart and still make it personal content?
Just start making it with what you have, right? And use your own, and then eventually you could repurpose it to something else.
Makes sense.
Bear with me here. And this is what a 10-second pause looks like. I will have to find this video and share it with you guys. Tomorrow, we're going to get more into building this. So I'll have this prepared for you guys tomorrow. And then tomorrow, we're going to really do a live strategy session, right? So meaning come prepared with things that you want to do. And I'll walk you through how to get started. We could go through where to post it, what to write, what to do. And I'll show you, if you do this over the course of a year, like what you can actually turn this into. And that's our plan for tomorrow. So sound good? So tomorrow, come prepared with thoughts, ideas, your pen, your paper, and we'll just jump right into it. So I hope everyone has a great day. If you have not signed up for Mighty Networks yet, please do.